Okay, the third part then gets a bit more complicated because we need both stages. So let's go through this in bits. So now T is 450, so we now need stage 1 and 2. So what we have in this case, let's get a bit more space. Oops, not that much. What we have now is that the strain at 450 will equal to C1, the first stress rate, times J0 torr minus J1 450 minus torr divided by 1.3, and that then is raised to the 1.3. So that hasn't really changed. We've still got torr in here. We've now got our time of interest, 450 seconds. But the things that we do need to consider are the limits. So this one, the first stage, this is the first stage. That started at time t equals 0, and it finished at time 300. So the limits go up to 300 there. We then need the second stage. So we add that on, the second stage with C2, different stress rate. Again, J0 torr minus J1 450 minus torr over 1.3 raised to the 1.3, and the limits here now, the second stage, so this is the second stage, started at 300, it goes on to 600, but that's more than our time of interest. We haven't got there yet. So as with the first one where we were doing 150 seconds, the limit here now is 450. So this is start of stage 1, this is end of stage 1, this is start of stage 2, and this is not the end of stage 2, but oops, is actually time t, because that's lower than the end of stage 2. We haven't got to the end of stage 2 yet. Okay, so what we then need to do is put numbers in and expand this out. We do get quite a lot of terms here, so I will put them all in, even though some of them go to 0, because it's not quite as simple as the first case. C1, our first stress rate is 0.001, J0 is 0.5. We do this to the first limit first, 300, so 0.5 times 300, minus J1, which is 0.2, 450 minus 300 will be 150 to the 1.3 divided by 1.3. We then have the sorry, I've left a positive there, that should be minus. We then have the terms for the other limit, so that will then be minus 0.5 times 0, minus, so plus 0.2, now we have 450 minus 0, so that's 450 to the 1.3 over 1.3. So that's the first part. We then have the second part. Now here we need a minus because the stress rate C is actually minus 0.0001, so that's why the minus comes in there. We then have 0.5 times the end limit, 450, minus 0.2 times 450 minus the end limit, 450, so that's times 0 to the 1.3 over 1.3. We then have minus 0.5 times the first limit, 300, and then minus minus, so plus 0.2, 450 minus 300, which is 150 to the 1.3 divided by 1.3. So we see here that not many of the terms go to 0. That one goes to 0, that one goes to 0, but all the rest are definite terms. So if we work that lot out, we end up with a value that is still positive, because we're still applying positive stresses, and 0.03 as the strain. The values of that are actually looked at in the fourth part, part D, which is on the model answers. I won't go through that there because it's described quite well in the model answers. So as I say, these ones with the integrations are more complicated. They do have quite a lot of terms in there. Take it by stages, think about which stage you're in, think about what the limits of the integration need to be, make sure that that bit there, the t is the time that we're interested in, the tau is the integration constant. So I'm not asking you to do complicated integration because I kind of give you what the integration should be, but keeping track of all the terms, knowing what you're doing is the important part with this.